Well, thank you, John. It's great to be here today with you
Well, I just
and
have,
your audience.
Well, thank you, and Mike, I just have to say this before we get on with it because this is going to be a tremendous segment. But Denise, when she moonlights, besides being the director of Green America and the Green Business Network, she's a community activist. And Mike, here's how one person can change the world. She's raised over $250 million for her underserved, diverse neighborhood, which is outside of the Washington, D.C. area. So, Denise, hats off to you. You're truly a green rock star with a huge heart, obviously, and thank you for taking the precious time out of your day to join us here at Green is Good.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I always like to share the stories about what great things are happening out there in the world. There's my community or in my Green America community. So thank you.
So, and for just to kick this off, because we'll mention it during the show many times, Denise's website and online presence can be found at greenamericatoday.org. greenamericatoday.org. I ask you to go look at that site. It is an amazing site, chock full of information and ways for all of us to become part of the solution. Denise, tell me about Green America and the work that you've been doing since 1982 and why it's so important to the Green Revolution and the future and our legacy here in America.
Well, certainly when we started Green America, which was then called Co-op America, we did change our name last year, which is very appropriate since the world is green and we all want to be green Americans. It was just the idea that there are so many ways for us to use our economic power. The power of our dollar to really make change. And like so many of us are community activists or environmental activists, and we do that work through, the choices we make. There's also all those choices that we make of every time that we spend our money. And so the whole idea of Green America is really to give people those economic strategies and tools by which we can all have a world that we're very proud of and that will be here for many generations. And it really supports local communities around green jobs, greening our planet. It's all about, greening, saving money, creating jobs, and supporting our local comommunities. As we've been talking about in this year of, here's Earth Day, the 40th anniversary. I mean, I will admit, I was at the first one. And I don't think I had any concept that green would become a household word or environmental integrity would be so important to so many people. Wow. And just over these last 5 years, it's just amazing that you can't even turn the TV on without seeing, the hybrid technologies or, any number of green products that have come to the market. Everybody, no matter where you are, really understands all about how to, how important it is to purchase green products and to invest in green technologies. 40 years ago, 30 years ago, who would have known, right?
But since you have such a broad perspective on this issue, when you started Green America 28 years ago, when you were one of the co-founders, really, were you pulling, was that like pulling a huge burden up the hill, but now you feel like the wind is at your back now that we've passed like a critical mass?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
And when we used words like socially responsible, people literally just looked at you like, what are you talking about? I mean, certainly there were, that was the, when Ben and Jerry's was coming around or when Tom's of Maine, but those were, the pioneers.
Right.
Certainly, it's, like I said, I had no idea that, at that point that, what I was doing was going to be anything but fringe for the rest of my life. And of course, my mother goes, "Oh, that's what you were doing back then."
So now that Mike and I just read that Green America has launched a Green Economy Challenge to Americans. Tell us about the shifting of income and why this is so important for Americans to all be part of this Green Economy Challenge.
Right. So certainly, like I just mentioned, this is our 40th anniversary of Earth Day. And so for us, it was really looking at calling on all Americans to take this, that we're calling the Green Economy Challenge, to really celebrate this 40th anniversary of Earth Day.
Okay.
So what we're asking is for all American households to just shift 10% of their current spending to green purchases. Now you say, what does that amount to? Well, if Americans spend about $3 trillion a year on expenditures.
Sure.
We looked at those expenditures, and almost all of those could be greened. So if they just directed 10% of those from, what they're purchasing now to a green or local business or to a green product, it would steer literally $300 billion towards a more sustainable economy and to local green businesses. And we are talking about everything from the body care products, the cleaning products you use in your home, the food or the clothing that you purchase, the type of energy that you use. So and on our website we go through 10 different tips of how you can do this and how much money you'll save.
Well, Mike was saying this in his intro. It doesn't matter what you do. Mike might do things that are more important to him in greening his home and his lifestyle, and I might do things that are more important to me. Mm-hmm. But just as long as we're all doing something, which is what we're hearing you say now, we could then effectuate major change. Oh, right. If everybody did this, only 10%. We're talking $300 billion into the green economy and into local economies. I don't think I need to remind anyone that we're in an economic downturn, a recession maybe, and that's affecting people's jobs, so they have to spend less money. They have to think about their community differently than they used to, and it's affecting those businesses on Main Street.
Well,
many businesses, I think you can just go down any, street in America now and see, the empty storefronts. And that's happening across every sector, in every city, And so what we want is we want people to really think about that, How can you support your local businesses and keep money in your community as opposed to leaving your community?
And it makes so much sense what you say, Denise, too, because when a person is unemployed, you are unemployed. It doesn't get more local than that, okay? Mm-hmm. Unemployment figures across the country or in another state, it comes down to the unemployment figure you're most concerned with comes down to one, and that is you being out of work.
That's right. There's a study that was just done that said that if people were to support local businesses, then, the research shows that, every dollar that you spend goes around 3 times. So every dollar you spend develops into $3. So it stays within your community. Over 3 times as much money stays within your community as goes out. So that's really growing those local businesses and thinking about, eating at a local restaurant instead of a chain. Sourcing local and organic meats and produce that support those local farmers in your community. So if everybody did that, every community would be strong.
Yeah, I mean, and on your amazing website, greenamericatoday.org, you also have greenpages.org, which is a tremendous, localized green business directory. But you have other great resources in the greening economy challenge. Why don't you share some of the your top 5 or 10 favorite tips so our listeners can get inspired and actually join in this?
Great. Well, thank you. I also want to mention that the greenpages.org site that we have, you can search by your zip code also. So you might want to go there and put your zip code in, see how many green businesses are just in your neighborhood that you can support. That's a new feature that we just added for this month. So one of the things that we like to talk about is that you don't necessarily have to buy all things new. I think that eBay and Craigslist and FreeCycle have been just really great examples where people can find really high quality used goods. Locally, nationally, you can buy products and save a lot of money, and we have a whole list of those on our site of places that you can access. Growing your own food. You can save a lot of money by growing local food in your backyard, and we have that information there about how to get started. Certainly, energy is a huge zap on our planet as well as in our homes.
Sure.
So you can just changing one light bulb, and everybody's heard this stat, but I'm going to say it again. Changing one light bulb will save enough energy to light 3 billion homes for a year, prevent greenhouse gases equivalent to the emissions of 800,000 cars.
Wow.
We really have to think about changing those light bulbs, every one of them.
Wow.
Air drying your clothes instead of a dryer. Unplugging those toasters and televisions and appliances. I just invested in all these smart power strips that automatically cut off. They're just great because we all forget that, right?
Sure.
Energy audits. Every community now has experts who can come in for little or no money and tell you how to become more energy efficient. I just had one done, and they said I had 2 windows in my house that were probably losing about 50 to 60% of my heat. 2 windows.
Wow.
I can afford to change 2 windows,
Right.
so I hired a local person who was, of course, unemployed right now, who's going to replace those 2 windows for me, and it's going to cost me about $600.
Wow.
And I hope to save that much money over the next year on heating.
Sure. So the ROI is very quick on something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Right.
That makes sense.
That's
Where do you
great.
buy these? Where do you
I
buy
can't
those?
afford to change every window, but he told me the ones that were the worst.
Right.
Also, there's tons of federal and state tax rebates for this, as well as for solar and for wind power now. And we have those also on our site.
And for our listeners, where do you buy those smart power strips just to make it really easy for them?
Oh, well, actually, I bought mine at the Green Festival, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Oh,
but,
great.
Certainly Home Depot or your local hardware store has those. They're called smart power strips.
Perfect.
And they fully cut electricity off. And on our website, you can see some resources for those.
Wonderful.
The other one that I love, which I do, give your car a break. If you, if only 1% of car owners, 1%, did not drive for 1 day a week, well, we all can do that, right? One day a week, we would save an estimated 42 million gallons of gas per year and keep over 840 million pounds of CO2 out of our atmosphere.
Wow.
So on those days that you don't drive your car, you can walk, you can ride a bike. Maybe you just don't go anywhere that day and spend some high-quality time with your family, maybe.
Love it.
Or your dog.
That's a great
There's
one.
a concept, huh?
Yeah, that's a concept. Let's stay at home today.
Yeah.
I try not to drive 1 day a week,
That's
and
great.
and it's worked for me. So
And a lot of people
people.
And in some cities, a lot of people can just avail themselves of mass transit or something too.
Oh, exactly right.
Right.
That's exactly right. Also, think about the clothing that you purchase. There's certainly, I think our staff in particular really enjoys doing this whole clothing exchange. A couple times a year, we all bring in our clothes that we're kind of tired of. We put them in, in a room, and guess what? Everybody gets new clothes for the next 6 months.
And, how about this whole organic sustainability eco-fashion movement? Mike and I last week had on a wonderful entrepreneur named Marcy Zaroff, and she's...
Oh, yeah, I know Marcy really well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, this seems what she convinced Mike and I that this is the way it's going. The eco-fashion movement is about to really take off. So this is part of what you're also promoting too, right?
Oh, that's right. And Marcy, she's just wonderful. She's a mentor of mine. She's been, involved in this since she's been a pioneer.
Right.
I think she was one of the first women designers to bring organics into the marketplace. And so she's just fabulous, and her clothing line is just, phenomenal.
Got it.
So, one of the most popular parts of our Green Festivals that we do, these events that we do, are these eco fashion shows and the whole area of our floor around green materials, whether they're made from hemp or bamboo or organic cottons.
Wonderful.
So you can just buy almost anything online, local stores that are. Even Eileen Fisher has a whole line of beautiful organic clothing. And of course, there's used clothing stores or resale shops that have wonderful clothes, lightly used clothing that. This is kind of a challenge. How can you dress really well and spend as little as possible?
Right.
Or the money that you need to spend, can you invest in really high-quality, beautiful organic organic cotton or hemp garments?
Let's talk about a couple more of your favorite top 10 tips, and then we'll go on and talk about your amazing green festivals. What are the tips you have for our listeners in terms of becoming part of the Green Economy Challenge?
So the other one is around the body care products. I think many of us know that there's a lot of chemicals in body care, personal care products that cause allergic reactions, birth defects, even cancer. So we really ask people to think about whether it's their shampoo or their lotions, to really go for a line of products that do not have harmful chemicals in them. You can see that information on our website. So buying those organic, fair-traded products.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, your green home products, from household cleaners to paints to stains. Many of them have the very the VOCs that cause cancer and endocrine disruptors, eye irritants. And so to look at those products, and there's so many of those that are available now that are chemical, that have, the chemicals that have been taken out of them, and they're healthy for you, and they're very good products.
We did a whole show on that, and Mike and I fell off our chairs when we learned about how many ingredients are never tested even by the that go into our common cleaning products. It's scary, huh?
So as your listeners are listening to all this, and there's all these, all this information out there, that's what I think is really good about the work that we do. Is we take all of this great work and research that's been done by great organizations, and we just really position that all on one website. So whether it's fair trade products to green cleaning products to fair trade, it's all there in one place for people. And, of course, these 10 tips around how to green your life are there as well.
Including your greenpages.org, which is another amazing site. So greenamerica.org, people go there. Tell us about, let's go from your online presence and the Green Economy Challenge for all our listeners and all of us to become part of. Talk about some of the other amazing initiatives that you guys run there, like your green festivals. Explain what the green festivals are and where are they and when can people go to them?
Yes. I love green festivals. We launched these back in 2002 because I'm one of those people that, yes, I do all this work on the internet and we print all these wonderful publications, but, I'm one of those people that like to kick the tires of the green economy. I want to see what this is really like. I want to really touch, organic cotton. And I'd always had this vision for what would it look like if we took, for example, the Green Pages, and we had an event that looked like a virtual Green Pages, where you go walking through the green economy.
Sure.
So we got together a group of people to think about this and said, okay, let's launch something called Green Festival. So in 2002, with our sister organization, Global Exchange, we launched our first Green Festival in San Francisco, which, of course, obvious reasons. And it was a huge hit. Tens of thousands of people came, just an amazing event. So what we do is we really build out a green community that people come to for 2 and 3 day events.
Okay.
These are held at convention centers. We're in Seattle and Chicago and San Francisco and Washington, D.C. once a year, and people come there to really experience all things green. So you have a great marketplace of over 350 eco-friendly businesses that are all part of our business network, selling all these great products, letting you taste them, test them, wear them, try them on, purchase them.
Beautiful. And
then we do the whole educational component, where we'll have as many as 250 speakers that are basically the thinkers and the activists of this of our world, whether it's Alice Walker or the mayors of these cities or Danny Glover or Chuck D or Amy Goodman or any of them. We had Dr. Cornel West at our last show in Washington, D.C., and Ed Begley Jr. So these are, celebrities, thinkers, philosophers, and doers, and also people who have started green companies to come and really talk about, everything from green investing to eco-fashion to renewable energy to green careers. We bring in local speakers as well. We have film festivals. We make it fun for people.
So how many green festivals do you have?
8 different pavilions. We have a beer and wine garden of only organic beer and wine. We have a food court that's all organic, vegan, and vegetarian foods. We have a kids zone that is just fabulous.
So Mike and I want to know how many do you have this year? How many festivals this year?
We have 5.
5.
I think the first one will probably be after you already air this show. Will be in San Francisco, celebrating Earth Day on April 10th and 11th.
Great.
But then we'll be back in San Francisco this fall.
Okay.
And then we have Chicago is May 22nd and 23rd at Navy Pier.
Great.
And then we're in Seattle at the Convention Center right downtown, June 5th and 6th.
So if people want to see all the dates and all the festivals and who's coming, they could go to your another great website, greenfestivals.org.
That's right. That's right. We also have hundreds of hours of audio and video on there. We call Green Festival Radio and TV, where you can see speakers that have been with us over the last 6 years.
Wow. So they can see the archives.
Yeah. You can't come. You can just hang out there and listen to Amy Goodman or, Jim Hightower or,
Will you be at all? Will you be at all the festivals?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I wouldn't miss one.
Wouldn't miss a good time.
This is your baby, though. This is one of your creations, right?
Yeah, right. Of course, it takes a village to do these, so I'm not going to take that much credit. But it is just a wonderful event. When people go, I mean, we received a couple of awards, for this event, and I just love it when other people acknowledge it. Even USA Today said, it was just they couldn't believe that a festival could have such a low impact, because what we do also is we have hundreds of volunteers that are recycling and composting up to 97% of all the festival waste. And then most people know that trade shows or consumer shows, the home garden shows, are huge contributors to the landfill. And we try to keep everything out of the landfill by reusing it, recycling it, composting it. We also encourage people to come riding their bikes, so we give them either free admission or a free bike valet to be part of this. And also people who volunteer get in for free. So it's a whole community of people. Literally 1,000 people come together to help produce these events in each of our cities.
Denise, we're down to the last minute or so, unfortunately, because you're just an amazing guest. And
I could talk for hours.
Well, yeah, well, that's why we're going to have you back. But what you can, which is great. Can you leave our listeners with just one or two of your, vast knowledge, pearls of wisdom, and just give them a little bit more of inspiration as we are going to be signing off here?
Well, I think for me, it's just the reason I stay so optimistic and upbeat is I really take each one of these things. I just really believe that every small step that any of us takes really does, accumulate into being huge, huge benefits for the planet. So I think encouraging people to maybe every month, every other month, just take one thing in your life and really challenge yourself to go green in that area, whether it's from your investment to your energy use to the foods that you eat. So just take one step at a time. And if you do each one of those and you continue to do them, before long you'll be looking back and going, oh, this wasn't that hard to do at all. And now we have a healthier family, we feel better, and we can just be assured that the planet will be here for many generations to come.
Well, thank you for coming today. Thank you for taking your time. And for all our listeners out there, please go to Denise's website, greenamericatoday.org, and also greenfestivals.org. Two amazing websites, chock full of information. Denise Hamler, you blew Mike and I and our listeners away today. You are truly living proof that green is good.